Today everyone not free, eh? Ah.
Sometimes I think it's with the economy opening up, right? I suspect a lot of people's schedule have become
Different.
up and down.
Yes, correct.
Because if you don't want to meet, sometimes the customer insists they want to meet.
Yes,
Correct.
actually, in my case here also, some also they want to meet up already. Feel like don't want to have a virtual, want to have a on-site meeting.
All right. Actually, you cannot blame them because the virtual sessions is not as effective as the face-to-face for quite a lot of situations. So now that the economy is, or rather the situation allows them to meet face-to-face, they want to meet face-to-face, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even for our TTT sessions, we may need to change the strategy a little bit. Maybe we can't have so many a week. We might need to scale back, So potentially after you finish this round, maybe on Monday, we don't do any session. We do Tuesday and Thursday, right? So that it gives us time to also plan for face-to-face session.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
Because I think this is also an opportunity for us to convert the TTT into a face-to-face session as well.
Yeah.
Something different, you know what I mean? TTT, but from a face-to-face perspective, instead of doing one TTT, maybe we do 2 or 3 TTT in one go, but different technology, you know what I mean? Like a mini event, half-day event kind of thing. I think we can think creatively how we want to do something like that, right? And we can invite different partners to come alongside. It's just that if you do a physical event, obviously you need a venue and all those other things. So there's some cost and all that needs to be also shared, to be fair, right?
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that makes the organizing a little bit more involved, right? Because it's not a virtual session, it's easy, right?
Yeah. Okay, I think maybe we can start now. I think someone has joined already, right?
Just now Lee came in, KL Lee,
but
I think he dropped out again.
Okay.
Just you and me at the moment. It's okay. What I suggest you do is you do the session like as if there are people, right? You kind of don't need to kind of stop for Q&A per se. But what you can do is in a way to provide a structured Q&A technique, right? I found this is quite useful. You can say that commonly when we do sessions like this, people ask such a question. Okay, and the way to think about the answer for this requires us to think about these things. You understand? So you become the person who asks the question from your findings of other sessions that you have done. That means when you do sessions like these with other customers and partners, they ask such and such a question. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay.
Rather than asking the question, do you have any questions? Because that question is only relevant if there are people in the call. You know, right? But when there are no people in a call, or you don't intend to open up to let people ask questions and then answer their questions, then you will use a different approach, right? As in saying, in sessions that I do, such as these, at this point, normally people will ask such a question. The question is blah. So you can even add that to your slides, by the way.
Okay.
Q&A can be added to your slides. Just like how we do demo, right? We insert a Q&A slide into our presentation.
Okay.
It's okay if you don't have any this time around, but think of future sessions where we can use, Lee is back. Okay, so you can try that. Okay. Welcome, Lee.
Hello, Lee.
How are you? Don't worry. Let's get started, Chua. let's
Okay.
keep going. Yep. All right. I'll mute myself.
Can, no problem. Okay, so in the past, right, we have covered this within node, within cluster, cluster failure, chassis failure, rack failure, and in fact, site failure, we also have covered quite a few scenarios. Okay, so today, this is the last session for this TTT for the total DR disaster recovery. Okay, so let's have a recap on what we actually talked about this topic 6 for the site failure. We have covered this VM replica, storage replica, Azure site recovery. So in last week, we covered this scenario, Hyper-V VM to the Azure site recovery. And we also covered this physical server or VMware to the Azure site recovery. Okay, so today we'll have a bit different topic. It's on the third-party solution. But this is for the site failure scenario, leverage on the technology we call Vim. Okay, so Vim backup and replication, this software actually can target backup platform on Hyper-V, VMware, Nutanix, physical server. So the physical server include Windows, Linux, Mac, Oracle, IBM, AIX, and the cloud backup as well, like AWS, Azure, GCP, which is a Google Cloud, M365, and Google Workspace. So because this is considered quite complete backup solution, that's why people, they may consider using this. But other than this platform support, right? In fact, there are a few advantages of Vim. The first one, the backup technology they use is agentless. You no need to install any agent into the target environment. It's agentless. And second thing, which is also one of the features what I like it very much, is an instant recovery. It guarantees the restore of the VM within 5 minutes, no matter how big your VM is. 10 terabyte, 20 terabyte. You can restore within 5 minutes. Do you believe that? Okay, later I will show you. And all the while I do the POC for this instant recovery is around 1 to 2 minutes only. But in the statement, they're not there to actually tell you 1 or 2 minutes. So they always say 5 minutes. Okay. And they also have this feature called sure backup. This sure backup is an automated self-recovery test. Means that after the backup, sometimes we're not sure that this backup, is it really can recover or not, right? So with this sure backup feature, after the backup, it will self-test to make sure that this whatever backup can be recovered, can be restored. And then it gives you a chalk, say that, yeah, this is a sure backup tested. Okay, then other than the backup features, it also comes with the replication features. This replication, exactly like the Hyper-V VM replica, but it have a few different features compared to the Hyper-V VM replica. So later I also will show you. So this include the target IP changes, okay? And the backup speed is very fast, very fast. Example, one of the customer actually, they're using XXX brand to do the backup. And this brand, when the time they come to the full backup, is a nightmare to them. Why? This full backup took them around 5 days time to finish the one backup. You just imagine one full backup take 5 days. Then within these 5 days, when the production running, cannot do any backup. So they cannot accept this. So until they change to this software and solve their problem. And this backup, instead of 5 days, it just take around 1 day can complete already. So it's like they are so happy. So why the backup is so fast compared to the other brands? Because they have two different technology. The first is called Vim proxy. So another one is called WAN accelerator. So these two different technology can help the backup very fast compared to other solution. Okay, the next thing, you also have this backup to the offsite to the cloud, which means that you can have the one primary backup to your on-premise. At the same time, after this on-premise completed, you can have the concurrent backup to other side, to the other side. So I say that multiple secondary backup. It can be one second backup to the offsite, third backup to the cloud. Can be something like this one. Okay, then this Vim also come with the feature called Vim Data Lab. So this Vim Data Lab is exactly like Windows 10 sandbox or Windows 11 sandbox for testing purpose. It's an isolated sandbox so that, example, you want to test whether your Windows update is it safe or not to run. You can just turn on this Vim Data Lab and then restore all your backup to this data lab and do some testing. It's an isolated network. And the last thing which I feel that is also worth to mention is this Vim1. This Vim1 is considered, in fact, is another product out of the Vim backup replication, but they always do bundling together. And because of this Vim1, it will actually help to report and actually monitor ransomware activity. So there is also one of the reasons why Vim say that they can help you to prevent ransomware. Okay, so these are the advantages of Vim. Let's take a look of the architecture of site failure recovery using the Vim. This is the scenario number 1. So this is using the technology called replication. So in this scenario, you need to have 2 sites, of course, production site and the DR site. And you need to have the ready Hyper-V server, the host server at the DR site. Then leverage on the Vim. Okay, these are the Vim component. Okay, Vim component we can see that Vim backup server, Vim repository, Vim proxy. Okay, so these are the 3 very common components required by the Vim. So all these can be inside one server, but normally for the Vim repository, we recommend not to be inside the Vim backup server, to be out of the server. Okay, and this Vim proxy normally also we recommend out of the server as well. Later I will explain to you. So leverage on this Vim servers component, it do the replication from the source over the VPN, site-to-site VPN, then to the target Hyper-V server, just exactly like the VM replica. Okay. Just now I could say that Vim, they backup very fast, right? So one of the reason is this Vim proxy. So Vim proxy concept is like octopus. I always say that it's like octopus. So this proxy, in fact, is like octopus hand. So the more hand you have out of your body, that means can help you to do more work, right? So this is the reason why they can work faster than others. Okay, and then for this offsite replication purpose, always recommend the Vim proxy. You need to have at least one Vim proxy at the DR side, at the offsite. And then offsite is also recommend to have another repository over DR side. Why? Because of in case anything wrong to your production site, then DR side repository can help you to do the recovery, leverage on that repository, the offsite one. Okay, so with this can help you secure site failure. Okay. So the next scenario is look similar, but is using the backup solution. It's not the replication solution. Backup. So you see, I could put 1, 2, 3 here. If using the backup solution, you doesn't need to have this Hyper-V server at the target site. So you need it when you need to do the disaster recovery. Okay, so let's take a look on the process. So this is the source server. Normal time, you do the backup from the source server to the Vim repository at the production site. Okay, at the same time, it duplicate a copy to the offsite repository. Okay, so just this offsite repository is to prevent anything wrong to the production site, then you have the backup there to help you. Okay, then come to the third step. This third step, that means normal time, you doesn't need that. When it's needed, then only you perform this step number 3 to restore the VM to the Hyper-V at the DR side. And this Hyper-V server, you can actually find a vendor for you, sign an agreement. Means that something like, in normal time, you doesn't need that server. But when come to the disaster recovery, then the vendor will actually loan the server to you. Or maybe within 4 hours or within 1 day, based on the agreement you can discuss. Okay, so this scenario 2 is not that immediate. When the time disaster happen, it's not immediate you can recover because you still need the servers and you need to restore. But you can leverage on the instant recovery. Like I say, instant recovery, you can restore the VM, 1 VM within 5 minutes time. So although longer compared to the scenario number 1, but it still can actually help you to restore in actually, I can say that, lower time than other solutions maybe. Okay. Come to the third scenario. Okay. Third scenario almost look like the same, but instead of backup to the DR side, on-premise DR side, but you backup to the store, to the cloud. Example, using the blob storage at the cloud. So using this method, also you doesn't need to have any VM. When come to needed, then only you restore back to the on-premise, or you leverage on the blob storage as a cloud, you restore into the cloud VM. Okay, so this is the third scenario for the site recovery. Okay, let's take a look Vim replication. Okay, how we can actually leverage on this Vim replication to do. Okay, as what you can see here, this is the Vim console. Okay, I go to the replication job. Here I create one replication job. And you see here, compared to other solution, right? Hyper-V replica, VM replica doesn't have this. Okay, so you see these are the 3 extra things different from the Hyper-V VM replica. You see, I click replica seeding, I click network remapping, then it will come up more solution for me, more option. Next thing, I click to choose the VM which I want to backup. So example here, I choose this RDS server. I click next. Then destination, I choose which host to restore to. I choose, not restore, replicate to, sorry. And then the path to actually store this replica VM. Okay. Next, this is the part which I think VM, I mean the Hyper-V VM replica don't have. So this you can choose to do the network mapping. Okay, like which network team and the VLAN you can specify. Okay, so this is a source and the target network. The VLAN you can specify as well. So because here I don't have this, or I doesn't require this, I just show you and come to the re-IP. Source and the target IP can be different, right? So you can actually leverage on this to actually do the remapping for you. And then retention also different. Maximum retention is 47. You can up to the 47 points, restore point. Okay, and this also something different. Okay, you can do the direct transfer through the network or through this WAN accelerator. What is this WAN accelerator? This WAN accelerator is something like a technology which can help you to compress the network. Okay, after it compress, then it only transfer. It's something like if you heard before this technology called riverbed. So it's almost similar. Then you can do the initial seeding and then come to the remapping. This one is something similar with the Hyper-V's export to the external hard disk, but it doesn't directly use that way, but almost similar. So it's like you can do the initial seeding using the whatever you have backup. After that, once you have the VM actually store at the DR side, right? And then you do the mapping. This server map to the target's server. Okay. So this is for those scenario, like you see, if you already have the replica and then your network is very slow, then you can use this method to do the seeding. Then application awareness, sorry. So it have this something, I think also something different. This application awareness is something like it help you to purge the transaction log of the database. Example, SQL Server or Exchange Server, they have those transaction log, right? If you doesn't leverage on this backup software to purge for you, then you need to write the script yourself. So this is something extra which Hyper-V VM don't have, the replica don't have. And then come to the schedule. So it has a few options for you to do the scheduling. You can do the daily replication, monthly, or periodically, or after the job. Let's take a look one by one. So this is the daily, and this is the monthly. And I think normally we will choose this one. You can choose hours, minutes, or continuously. Let's say minutes. It doesn't restrict you how many minutes. You can set 5 minutes, 1 minute also can. Okay, and come to the, yeah. And then you can set the schedule, which day, within which time frame you doesn't allow the replication to run. Okay, and once complete, just click finish, then the replication job will run. Okay, so once the replication finish, right, at the target Hyper-V server there, then you will see that VM actually appear, but in the offline state. You see, this replica is at the offline state. It's very similar to the VM Hyper-V VM replica. Okay, so so when come to the, we want to do the restore, failover, sorry, failover, we can choose failover now, plan failover, or add a failover plan. You see, if I choose this failover plan, I create a failover plan, you can set pre-script or post-script. And then you want to set how many seconds to delay to start. You can do something like that. Okay, so let's say I want to do the plan failover now. I click this plan failover. You can choose the restore point. This, let's say I choose the latest one. Wait. Try again. Okay, then specify the reason to do the failover. So if you have, I just skip that reason. Then after that, it start to do the failover. Okay, so once failover completed, the original, the production runnings VM will be off in the offline mode. Then this one will started. Then now you can see that it's running. Okay, and the original one, yeah, off already. Okay, so after this plan failover started, right? Then if you test everything successfully, then you can actually undo the failover, and then you roll back to the original state. Okay, like this one, I click this undo failover, then you roll back already. Okay, so this one, the replica turn to the offline state, and then the production server, it will turn on. It's running. Okay, so this is how the Vim replication works. So let's take a look. Wait, I think, let me double check something. Vim backup to Vim replication. Okay. So the second demo I want to show to you is how Vim can back up to the Azure. Okay. So as you can see here, there's a ready job. Actually, I already pre-configure. And then let's take a look how it's actually being configured. Okay, from here, this is the job. If I click next, then these are the VM which I back up to the cloud. And then this is the repository which actually help to back up to the cloud. Okay, so let's take a look on the repository. So this is the repository, Azure Block Storage. And this block storage, from here I can see that the total capacity, the free space, use space. If I right click this scale out repository, I choose properties. Okay. From here you can see that this is the performance tier. Then capacity tier. Capacity tier is actually the place where you actually define you want to go to. So here I choose to say that is the Azure Block Storage. And here you have the option to do this like copy the backup. Once the backup completed, then it immediately make a copy to the cloud. Or if you want it to be like only to replicate, to copy those backup which is older than how many days. That means it's for the archiving purpose one, only you move to the cloud. You can have this option. Okay, but my choice here is the immediate. That means whatever backup completed at the on-premise storage, the repository, it will actually make a copy to the cloud. Okay, so once finished backup, you will see that under this object storage, these are the VM. Actually, are not convenient to show actually because it's belongs to a customer's production site. So I massage it. Okay, you cannot see the VM name. But anyway, here is the backup result. You can see that at the cloud, and then here it will show that how many restore point. Okay, so this object storage denotes to the Azure Block Storage. Well, this is the local disk, which whatever you back up to the local disk. For the Vim, you must have a backup to the local disk. Okay, you must have backup to the local disk, then only can make a copy to the cloud. This is their rule. You must make it like this. You cannot say that I don't want to have any backup at the on-premise, but everything moves to the cloud. Cannot. Okay. So once you have the backup at the cloud already, you can choose to do the instant recovery. Instant recovery means that is the VM recovery within 5 minutes. Or you can choose to normally restore the entire VM. I can tell you the difference later. Then you also can choose to restore the VM file. VM file means that it's something like those VHDX, those files belongs to the Hyper-V. Or you can choose to restore the guest file. Restore guest file, which means that it's the file inside the VM. Example, your C drives file, D drives file. Okay, and here let me come back to this instant recovery and restore entire VM. What's the differences? Okay, maybe I just tell you here because I think I have another session to tell this, but now I just tell you directly. This instant recovery, it will recover the VM within 5 minutes. Okay, why it can be so fast? Because when the time it restore, the file, actually those VHDX, is not moved back to your running Hyper-V servers. It's still actually the repository is still running at the repository. Because whatever Vim backup, the file is the format almost similar to the VHDX. That's why they can make their file running at the repository, which can talk to the Hyper-V server directly. So Hyper-V server, the VHDX is still at the backup repository, but not back to the production server. Compared to this restore entire VM, this will take time. Depends on how big your VHDX is, because it will have to copy back to the production VM. So these are the differences. Okay. Okay, restore guest file, like I say, and then you can also choose to restore to the cloud VM. I will have another demo to show you this one. Okay, this is how we we do the Vim backup to the Azure. Okay, next is the restore option. Okay, so let's say this one, I say when the time you come to the restore, you have instant recovery. I already explained to you. You also have the restore entire VM. I also explained already. I think most of these I explained already just now. I think this demo can skip. Just to double confirm. Other than that, maybe here is clearer. We can see that we can restore to the AWS if you want, restore to the Azure, or restore to the Google Cloud. So you have this option. And also you can, whatever being backup already, you can export this backup to your external hard disk or to certain place which you want. Okay, so this is a restore option. Then come to the Vim instant recovery. Let's take a look how fast it is. So example here, I want to use the instant recovery to restore this web SVR2. Okay, I choose this web SVR2, and then you have option to restore to the original or different location. I choose different location, and then I specify different host. Okay, this 1.3 is a different host. Okay, click next. I specify the data store to store those VM file, like VHDX, okay, and configuration file. Okay, I can specify whether you want to mark the network or not. You can change the name after you restore. Okay, I preserve the UUID or not to preserve, you also can specify. Okay, reason, or yeah, one thing about this one, secure restore. You can perform the scan before you do the restore, because sometimes we scared that those whatever being backup, maybe it's not clean, right? So you can choose to do a scan. Okay, and then specify the reason. Okay, after that, it's time ready to restore. Okay, before we restore, you have the option to power on the VM, and then we see the time 10:27 a.m. Now we start restore. See how long you can finish. This, by the way, this VM is 127 GB. Okay, done already within 1 minute. You see, I didn't actually. I just cut short the process. Okay, but it's really 1 minute. And then after restore, from the top there, from this top there, I can open the console to see the VM. Okay, but due to the reason, sometimes it's not smooth. Okay, you see this, I specify the username password. I try to connect to open the console, but don't know why. Maybe due to some reason, some error, it cannot connect. So I will choose to go to the Hyper-V there to connect the console. Yeah, you see here, this is a restore web SVR2. No? So complete. So the restore time is almost 1 minute, but come to after let it to boot up, everything is from the 10:27, then 10:30, everything finished. Very fast. And it doesn't care how big your VM is. 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 10 terabyte, the time almost the same. Just like what I say, whatever you restore, this VM doesn't copy back to the production server. The file is actually still running in the repository. So why they do it so? Because when come to the hurry, right? So people will say that I need to at least up the server, whether slow or not, I still can explain. Because sometimes slow, I can say that due to certain reason, at least the production still can run. And I think I have missed out something. I didn't show this one. And once you finish restore, right, you can right click to migrate to the production. And migrate to the production, it will slowly bit by bit actually copy to the production server. And when this completed, then it will everything switch to the production server silently. So people will suddenly feel that, hey, suddenly fast already. So this is powerful of this Vim instant recovery. Okay. So let's take a look at another demo. Vim restore to the Azure. This is also another feature I like it very much. Okay, later I'll tell you why. So from here, you can see that whatever I restore, right, I can actually restore to the Azure. So just right click and choose restore to Microsoft Azure. And of course, before that, you need to do some pre-configuration, like link your account, link your subscription to the this console. Here, I didn't show you, but here I already pre-do this one. And then now you can see that I can choose my subscription, and then I can choose that which region I want to restore to. Okay, and whether you want to use the Azure proxy VM or not. No, I'm not, because I don't have any proxy VM at the cloud there. So I just click next, and then here I can choose the VM size. What kind of the type of the VM I want to use to restore to. You see, standard, A0, A1, or B1 MS, or D series of the Azure VM. You can choose, and then the storage, whether you want to manage or unmanage, you can specify here. Okay, and then specify the resource group. Okay, or you can create a new one if you want. Okay, then click next. Specify the virtual network. So if you have a public IP, just assign the public IP to the VM. And then whether you want to do a scan or not before you do the restoration, like I mentioned just now. Okay, so after that, specify the reason if you want to, then summary, and then you can start to restore. Okay, but here I'm not going to show the entire process for you, but I can tell you that I always use this feature to help my client move their VM to the Azure. Okay, when the time you have the project, okay, this is something which I want to share, my also consider a secret weapon or something which because I know this, so it's easy for me to do. Okay, how you actually can, if you get a project, awarded a project, to restore to migrate the on-prem VM or physical server to the Azure. So how you can do? So normally if you use the Microsoft way, you have to use the Azure Site Recovery, or use the you convert to the VHDE or VHDX, then upload those VHDX to the Azure, then only to build, right? But I tell you, the easiest way is using this one. You save a lot of work, and it's so straightforward. You follow this widget one by one, then you can achieve what you want already. Okay. Next thing. Okay, because ransomware, no, Vim, they claim that they can actually help to prevent ransomware, right? So how they can prevent ransomware? So here I have the video for you to show how they can achieve this one. Before that, maybe someone tell me whether if you cannot listen, cannot hear the voice. Can hear the voice or not? Can hear the voice or not? Can, huh? Okay, let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Stoner, technologist at Veeam Software. Veeam One is a powerful monitoring and reporting tool that provides visibility into data protection and virtual environments. Today, I'm going to showcase just how you can use Veeam One to stay resilient with ransomware using its powerful alarms. Let's get started.
When it comes to utilizing Veeam One's out-of-the-box alarms to help detect and respond to ransomware, there are 3 alarms that you should be looking at: the VM with no backups alarm, the possible ransomware activity alarm, and the suspicious incremental backup size alarm. The first 2 alarms, the virtual machine with no backup alarm and the possible ransomware activity alarm, are going to check the virtual environment, meaning the virtual machine with no backup alarm is going to see if your virtual machines are meeting your recovery point objectives and backups have been taken. The possible ransomware activity alarm is going to look at resource counters such as CPU usage, network transmit rate, and so on to see if any of these are behaving abnormally. The last alarm, the suspicious incremental backup size alarm, is going to monitor the data protection operations, specifically the backup jobs running in your environment. We are in the Veeam client, and as you can see here, we're in the virtual infrastructure view, and those two alarms that I mentioned previously have not been triggered in our virtual environment. But let's take a look at our data protection view. Here you can see that we have a couple different alarms that are triggered in our environment, and the suspicious incremental backup size alarm has been triggered. So what does this alarm mean? This alarm takes a look at the size of the recently created incremental restore point and sees if it's significantly different from the previously created ones. If I click on the suspicious incremental backup size alarm, this is going to take me into the alarm management view. With each alarm, you gain alarm details. This is basically what the alarm is and what the cause of the alarm could be. As you see here, for this alarm to be triggered, there are 3 causes of why this alarm is triggered in our environment. If I click on the alarm and click edit, I get a little bit more details on the alarm, and I can make some adjustments as I see fit. The rules of the alarm are the rules that are going to have to occur for the alarm to be triggered. These are adjustable here as well, so you can adjust them as you see fit. These counters here are what have been predefined out of the box by Veeam. You want to make sure you set up notifications so that you can get an email notifying you of this alarm and if it has been triggered. You can also set up actions. So if this alarm is triggered, I can say run this script by approval or automatically and put the path to the script in here. One of the other alarms I talked about was the possible ransomware activity alarm. So let's take a look at that. So you can see the rules of this alarm. So these are the counters that this alarm is taking a look at in our environment: a CPU usage, a data store write rate, and network transmit rate. By default, these settings have been set out of the box, predefined, but you are able to come in here and adjust these as you see fit. You can assign this alarm, like all the other alarms, to specific parts of your virtual infrastructure. You're going to want to make sure that you set up that email notification to be notified. You can, once again, set up an action. If this alarm is triggered, maybe you want to turn off the machine, or maybe you want to remove from the network. You can put that script in here. And you also have your knowledge base. So why this alarm was triggered. And the last alarm was the VM with no backups alarm. And this alarm is important because if a ransomware attack does occur, you want to make sure that you have a backup in place that you can restore from so you can get your data back. As you can see here, you can set your RPO intervals. You can assign it to a part of your virtual infrastructure, set up notifications, and then you can also set up actions. You might notice that this alarm setting, these actions look different than the ones previously, and that's because this alarm contains predefined actions. So I can come in here and say, hey, I want to add this virtual machine to a backup job. Maybe I want to start a Veeam zip, but I still have that option to run a script if I would like. And those are the alarms that you should be taking a look at if you want to help detect and respond to ransomware in your environment using Veeam.
Okay, so this is how Veeam can help to prevent the ransomware activity by monitoring the CPU and the disk write or network transmit activity, and also to detect those VM which doesn't have backup, so that it will actually get alert to the IT administrator to configure the backup. So these are a few actually features which it can help you. Okay, so another thing I like Vim very much is because of the low error rate, which means you just imagine as the IT vendor, so you have a lot of client, and then if your software is always prone to the error, always make the error to you, and then you will have to always spend time to troubleshoot this, troubleshoot that. So that is not a good software, and that will only bring you to waste your time, right? Because you cannot do anything but every day just to have to take care of the backup to make sure it's successful. So this is not a good idea. So but Vim actually prone to a very low error rate. It's like almost maybe 6 months only have one error, small error, maybe this full, something like that. So this is also one of the reasons why I like this very much. And then whatever it being backup, I almost can ensure that is the recoverable. Whatever backup completed is actually useful one. Is like can be used. It's not like when the time come to the disaster, then you want to recover, it cannot recover. It doesn't have this thing. Yeah, so that's the reason. Okay. But one of the disadvantages of the Vim, because I say that Vim is like almost everything can do, but it also have a disadvantages. So it don't have a solution like Azure Site Recovery, because it is very good for on-premise, but when the time it back up to the cloud, I want it to be quickly restored like Azure Site Recovery within minutes. Can it be done or not? Cannot. So you see, Vim allow you to replicate to backup data to the cloud, but it cannot restore VM to cloud in minutes. The only way to restore the VM to the cloud is through the full VM recovery. That means that how big your data of the VM is, then it will take how long time to actually recover. Okay, and the time it like this one I say, the time it takes to restore is very depends on the size of the VM. So this is something which like I feel that they still can use, they still need to improve. Okay, so this is why I see that right now the disadvantage of the Vim. Okay, so quiz time. Let's take a look on this one. Vim's instant recovery can only work in Hyper-V environment. Yes or no? Answer is no.
No.
Yeah, correct. Go. Yeah, it also can be run in the VMware environment. Okay, but so far this instant recovery, as what I know I tested, it cannot be run in the Nutanix environment. Okay, Nutanix still don't have the instant recovery. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, Vim has a feature which can back up to block storage and perform instant recovery to restore VM to the Azure cloud. Is it yes or no, or maybe true or false? Answer is no, cannot. Okay, like I say, it can back up to the block storage, but cannot perform instant recovery. It's the full VM recovery, and how long it takes depends on how big the VM size is. So this is something which I think still they can improve. Okay. Okay, come to the summary. Today, I think faster. It's 9:20 only. Okay, almost come to the end. But this I have to conclude this summary because this is the last series already, last session of this series. So we have covered within node failure, cluster failure, chassis failure, rack failure, and site failure. Site failure, we have more topic. Example, we at 2 weeks ago, we talked about the VM replica, storage replica, storage cluster. Then last week we talked about the Azure Site Recovery. Azure Site Recovery, as I say, is one of the very strong point of the Azure's. I can say that this is the secret weapon of one of the Azure solution. Okay, it allowed Hyper-V VM to site recovery to the cloud, and also allow the physical servers or VMware to the cloud. Okay. Then today we cover about the third-party solution, Vim. Vim can do the instant recovery. we talk about this VM replication, just like Hyper-V replica, but with the extra add-on features. And then they can back up to the Azure block storage and then restore to the Azure. We have covered all this. Of course, we include this Vim1, which how Vim can detect the ransomware activity and make a pre-alert to the IT admin to let you to take some precaution. Okay. So that's all. That's all for today. And we have actually completed all the session for this series. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Follow up us from every week. Okay. So if you have any question, feel free to raise up. Let us know. Okay. Or maybe right now you have a question, just feel free to ask me. If you don't have a question, then we will end the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Chua.
Thanks.
Great
Thanks, Chua.
stuff.
Okay, I will
All
stop.
right.
I will
I
stop.
hope all of you enjoyed the session. The team has put in a bit of work, as you can see, from content to demo